Hi and welcome to another gaming video, and in today's video I want to talk about the fact that the PS4 will not die. And there are two main reasons for that. So the first one is it's a fantastic console. It's been highly successful for Sony, so it's got a big user base, so that's one reason. But the main reason is they're still making games for it. We are almost 5 years into the PS5 life, because that was released in 2020, and yet we're still getting games on both systems, the PS4 and the PS5. Big named titles as well. So what really kind of sparked this video off is that you can buy Call of Duty Black Ops 6 on the PS5 and on the Xbox Series X, but you can also buy it on the PS4. And okay, it may not give you the best experience because they're trying to push the game for the new hardware, but the fact that it is on the PS4 5 years into the PS5's life, it is ridiculous. And then they wonder why the PS4 is still hanging around. You normally get this sort of year of crossover. So when the PS3 came out, there was a year of sort of games kind of released on both for the PS2 and the PS3. The same with the PS3 to the PS4, there was a crossover period, and you got games like Wolfenstein New Order, I think it was, released on both. I played that game on both, and you could really tell that it was pushing the PS3 too hard. Texture drops, frame rate drops. Play it on the PS4, a much better experience. And you get the same with Call of Duty Black Ops 6 on the PS4. Its textures are a little bit blurred. They've cut out a lot of scenery features like grass, etc. The frame rate isn't as great, but it's there. And we're not talking about a game that's released a year into the PS5's life. We're talking about a game that's released almost 5 years into the PS5's life. There really shouldn't be new PS4 games, or at least not big name titles. You get a lot of indie or smaller developers that like to carry on games development for older systems for quite some time. But where is the push for the new hardware if you're releasing games for the last gen 5 years into it? So PS4 was released in 2013, so we've got 11 years of the PS4. That is unheard of in the games world. The PS5 was released in 2020, so we're almost into 5 years of the PS5's life. And given that most consoles have a 7 to 8 year lifespan, we are already starting to talk about the PlayStation 6 with an expected release of 2026 and 2027. And it just, is the PS4 still going to be hanging around when we're getting ready to relaunch the PlayStation 6? It's just an odd thing. Like I say, you always get crossovers, you always get games that are released once the new console is out. They don't just cut it off altogether. There's that little bit of well, you haven't bought the PS5, so here's a couple more games to keep you going on the PS4, but we're really going to push the new generation console, and they don't seem to have done. So if we look at sales of consoles, you've got the PS2 sitting there, biggest selling console of all time, 155 million, followed by the Switch at 146 million. The PS4 is sitting there at the third best selling home console of all time at 117, with the original PlayStation at 102 and the Wii at 101. So the PS4 is a big selling console, but I can't help thinking that had they have sort of tailored off and squashed the PS4 a little bit earlier, those numbers would have dropped. Perhaps the PS5 numbers would have increased, because there's always, ever since gaming has began, it's, well, here's the new system, these are the new games, and this is why you need to buy it, because you now can't play those games on your older system. Whether you're going from NES to SNES, or Master System to Mega Drive, Mega Drive to Saturn, SNES to whatever's next, N64, very rarely did they bring out games, especially in those sort of eras, or on both systems. And if they did, then the old version was really terrible. And while Black Ops 6 may not be as fantastic on the PS4 as it is on the Xbox Series X or the PS5, it's still there pretty much in its entirety. You do expect a bit of cut down, but if you really can't afford a PS5 and you've got a PS4, you can play most of the modern games. And it was one of the biggest gripes, and it's been one of the biggest gripes for PS5 owners. Why have I gone out and bought this brand new console? It's got much improved graphics and well, everything, because it's a newer console, and yet you're still bringing out games for the older console. It was a huge thing about God of War Ragnarok being absolutely stunning, this brand new PS5 game, but we're going to bring it on the 4 as well, so why do it? Horizon Forbidden West, another game that's on both. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, that's on both. These big name titles that really aren't pushing people to buy the newest hardware because you can play those games on your old system. And I was having a look this morning, there are a huge list of games that going forward towards the end of 2024 into 2025, some possibly into 2026, of games that will be released on the PS4. You've got, well, obviously Black Ops 6 has just come out, Metal Slug Tactics, Little Mares 3. These are some of the bigger titles that I can see coming out 2025, but there are games even going into 2026 that are going to come out on the PS4, and I'm hazarding the guess by that point they're not going to be huge titles. I can't see Black Ops 7 coming on the PS4, but then I couldn't really see Black Ops 6 being released on the 4, and it's an odd one because they haven't held back on BO6. It looks stunning on the Xbox Series X and the PS5, but they have made it possible for it to run on the PS4. So it does make me wonder, are we running into this kind of era where we want to run this twin kind of systems? Microsoft have kind of fell into that little problem with having the very powerful Xbox Series X, but you've got to get games to run just as smooth on the Xbox Series S, same generation, so that is a little bit different. There aren't that many games that will still run on the Xbox One. I mean, there are a few. Black Ops 6 is released on the Xbox One alongside the Xbox S and the X. That is some of the reason the PS4 won't die. So many games that are released on both, and then you've got PS4 games that get PS5 upgrades. That I can understand. The fact that the PS5 is also PS4 backward compatible, it's a great thing for gamers. It means you can move forward. There's no push for it. There's no push for people to upgrade to a PS5. You buy the new hardware, you can play your old games, but new games should be for the new hardware. It should be PS4 compatibility should just be so you can bring your older game library across, but going forward it would be buying PS5 games. Why bring out a PS5 and then bring out PS4 games well into its life, well over halfway into the PS5's life? It's an interesting one, and it's one that puzzles me. It's the main reason why the PS4 is still hanging on, the main reason why a lot of people haven't upgraded, because there aren't that many PS5 exclusives that make you want to just jump to a PS5. There are so many games still being, big name games, still being released on the PS4, and I can see games being released on the PS4 well into the launch of the PS6, because there doesn't seem to be any slowing down. Yes, there is a little bit. There are some PS5 exclusives, but there should be more by this point. The PS4 should be dead in the water. They shouldn't be releasing consoles. They shouldn't be releasing new games on the platform. The backward compatibility option should be just to bring your sort of collection across. So, there, a little bit of a rant. I've got nothing against the PS4, apart from the fact that it killed off the PS3. But the PS4 is a decent console, but it's still got momentum, and that's been perpetuated by the release of big name new titles, which should by this point be just on the PS5. Well, there you go. Let me know what you think. Have you got a PS4? Are you still buying PS4 games because you see no reason to upgrade just yet? Or have you jumped to the PS5 so you've got the best of both worlds, PS5 games and the ability to play whatever PS4 games you've got? Let me know. Link, like, subscribe, enjoy.